Welcome to AGRIMINDS, the podcast where we explore the intersections of personal growth and professional success in the ag industry. I'm Kacee, your host. Thank you for joining me as we dive in to the different strategies and insights that will help you level up your life and career. From mental health to leadership development, we're going to cover it all. So sit back and get ready to grow with AGRIMINDS. Hello and welcome back to the AGRIMINDS podcast. I'm your host, Kacee, and today I've got Melissa Nelson with me. She is a crop research scientist out in Kansas, and she's got a really unique story. She's doing some really cool stuff out there, and I cannot wait for you to hear what she's got going on. Melissa, welcome to the AGRIMINDS podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I love listening to your podcast, so I'm excited to be one of your guests.
Wait, what? You listen to my podcast? I feel like I just got really excited. It makes me feel good when I invite somebody on and they're like, yeah, I listened to your podcast. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
I am a big podcast junkie. Like I love inhaling information that can help my growth curve, and if I can avoid steps or, pull information from other people that are smarter than me or have more life experience or whatever. Yeah, I love podcasts. I'm always got one going in my ear.
Oh, I love that. I think I was trying to remember back when you and I first got connected, and I want to say it was like 2019. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah. It was in the beginning stages of my entrepreneurial journey. So yes.
I think that's right. So a little bit of context. I was selling farm management software to row croppers in the Midwest, and a lot of the farming operations that I was working with in Southern Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee area, and even up in Michigan too, they were switching some of their row crops to hemp. And a lot of the tobacco farmers down in Kentucky, Tennessee area were switching their fields from producing tobacco to hemp. And so I kind of got introduced to this world I had never known anything about before. And it's actually where I got introduced to Greg Kruger, who was a couple episodes back, who's going to be one of the speakers at the AgriMind Summit. And Melissa, you were one of those people too. And so you and I have actually not ever met in, no, we did meet in person. We met in Tennessee. We met in Nashville.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's been so many years ago. And fun fact, Melissa actually helped land my very first legitimate speaking engagement. So I don't think I would be doing this had it not been for you.
Yes. Good people find good people. And I just was, when they were looking for recommendations for the speaker, because I am on the committee for NAICC that helps organize the sessions and stuff. I was like, I've got the girl for this. Look no further. Here's her contact information. So
I've been wanting to ask you this for 3 years now. Why did I come to mind? Because I had only spoken 1 to 2 times ever. I didn't have a track record for it. I don't even think I even told people I was speaking. So I've always wanted to know, what did you see that was Kacee's going to be a good speaker? Because I didn't speak. I had no experience in it.
Well, honestly, I couldn't say whether you were going to be a good speaker or not, but the message that I was continuing to see on my phone and online and through mutual connections and things like that was consistent. And I felt like that message needed to be shared, and it had, a good foundation, and it just needed a platform to get out there. And so that's why I recommended you, and you didn't disappoint. I sat in on your session and it was fantastic. So.
Oh my gosh. I've been wanting to ask that question for so long, and I was like, it's never been the right time to ask. But honestly, this is so raw. This has not been scripted, and I did not tell her that I was going to be talking about this. I wouldn't be doing this had that not happened. That catapulted my entire business. That moment, had that not happened, I would probably still be working for corporate. So I was pregnant when the conversation started, when you were like, hey, you should come speak at this event. And I was still pregnant at the time. And my youngest was 8 weeks old when I went to go speak at this event. I was on maternity leave and I was honestly like, should I say yes to this? And I'd only spoken like 2 times in my entire life. And they were for the companies that I had worked for. And for some reason, something was in my mind of like, you should go do this. This could be really like the start of something. And I honestly had such hesitation because I'm like, I have an 8-week-old baby. Like, I wasn't even healed up from my C-section yet. And here I am traveling to Nashville, Tennessee. I begged my mom to go with me and we went down there. My mom hung out with the baby in the hotel room. I went downstairs and I actually delivered 2 sessions while I was
Mhm.
down there. And I I remember like on the drive back home thinking, holy shit, I guess I'm a professional speaker now. Like I just got paid to speak and on my own. My name, not representing a company, not representing the topic that the company wanted me to talk about, but 100% me. And the fact that you had blind faith and what I could do, like, I feel like that's a divine thing. I don't think that that was by accident. And I
I was
honestly,
just gonna
like,
say
I
that.
built so much confidence. Yeah, there was so much confidence and clarity that happened for me in that weekend. Like, you can do this. And from that event, every single speaking event I've ever done has come from word of mouth. Every single one
Mhm.
of them. I've never paid to advertise ever in the 3 years that I've been an entrepreneur. Every event has been, I saw you at the conference in Nashville and I want you to come here. And then somebody would be in that audience, be like, oh, I saw you here. I want you to go there. Every single thing started from that moment. And I just want to say
Oh,
thank you.
yeah.
I've never been able
Oh,
to fully express that, but you started it all.
oh, well, thank you. I mean, God works in mysterious ways, and there have been points in my journey, whether I was working for another company and then went out on my own, and then the trajectory that we've taken in our businesses. And sometimes there truly is these like divine moments that you could go left or right, and it's not like a gentle turn; it's a left or a right. And yeah, it's always worked out. So
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, and I don't think I've ever formally told you that I appreciate you having faith in me and just seeing something and running with it. And I think that's so important is like one little nudge that you give somebody could completely change the trajectory of their life. And had I not done that moment, I don't know if I would have ever had the confidence to go out on my own and make this something. So I just appreciate that. But hey, Melissa, who the heck are you? Where are you from? What do you do? Will you tell people a little bit about yourself?
yeah, of course. So Melissa Nelson, I currently live in Great Bend, Kansas. I'm originally from Northeast Kansas. I ended out in Central Kansas. I went to school at Fort Hays for college basketball, and then got recruited to a research facility in Pawnee County. And then I met my husband, and he is a fourth generation farmer in this area. So I am well rooted down in central Kansas now. And so we've got several businesses. One that is probably my primary hat that I wear is a crop research scientist with performance crop research. And so we take developmental products and work with developmental pipelines of companies from all over the world. So those EPA labels that you read on any jug that you purchase, any commercial product that a farmer is purchasing has those labels on them. We help make those labels and collect that data. Some of our products never make it out of the pipeline, and so that's our job, is to help determine whether this is going to be a product that has efficacy in this area or not. We've got 5 research locations across the state of Kansas, because Kansas is very unique and diverse from the west side to the east side in terms of pests, insect, drought pressure, soil type, etc. And then the other hat that I wear is South Bend Industrial Hemp. And in 2019, my husband and my brother-in-law were looking for a way to diversify their farming operation. At that time, hemp was becoming legal And we really believed in large scale commercial agriculture. That's where our roots are. And we saw industrial hemp for fiber production as a way for a farmer to have a cash crop, be able to set his own price, and move forward with a little bit of, or a little less chance of, market volatility that you see on the grain side of things. And so we started that, and then we rapidly found that we knew how to grow it. We used my data-driven approach and from the research side of things, and really figured out how this plant did and how it could grow well. But there was no processors. That was the next bottleneck in the industry. So in 2021, again, hard left or hard right, we needed to get out of the industry, or we needed to be the answer to our problems. And so we opened a processing facility. At that time, we had a very firm belief that we needed to bring more people in besides ourselves. And so we contracted with other farmers and taught them how to grow and basically give them a blueprint to have a successful season, you know, barring Mother Nature does what Mother Nature does. But we set them up for success as much as possible and basically have a seed to final sale approach. So we have an amazing crew at the processing facility. We've launched certified apprenticeship programs through the Kansas Farm Bureau and the Kansas Department of Commerce. We're just really big into like self-development or, personal development. And then ultimately a better you makes a better us. And so that's how we really lay the foundation for our companies.
Wow, that is so cool. I mean, I knew most of that, but you kind of filled in some gaps for me too. And I knew that you had been training some other folks and you have always invited people out to see what you were doing and just educate not only other people in the industry, but the public too. I always thought that was really cool. But one of the things that I wanted to have you expand on a little bit is your mindset through all of this, because being innovative, trying new things, seeing what's working, what's not working, starting up an industry, noticing where these gaps are. I mean, there's got to be a level of determination, resilience. I mean, the right type of optimism in your mindset that I feel like our industry sometimes struggles with. And I'm seeing a little bit of shift, but I would just love to hear, like, has your mindset always just been about like, what can we improve? What can we do? Or is that something you kind of have to practice and be intentional about?
I think optimism and anxiety are synonymous in my world. Like, I see the gaps, we see the growth. My husband is a very much an idea guy. He very much sees where where the gaps are, and I'm more of the execution. Like I see the steps that need to happen. So his idea is here, and I'm like, okay, what do we need to do in all these pieces before we can get here? And then my brother-in-law is very good at the hands-on side of things, and so he can really bring to life these steps that I've put into place. I'm big into processes. I've always been like that. When you talk about mindset, I grew up, even from a very young age, I was very achievement driven. I loved the accolades. I loved the teams that I played for. I had amazing coaches growing up, which I think was a huge asset to my development personally. I mean, back in the early 2000s, like something that really comes to mind is my weightlifting coach. Women or girls weren't really in the weight room back then. And he really encouraged us to come in. We lifted with the guys. Like it wasn't like, oh, girls are here, girls lift light weights, like, no, he's very much pushing you in how to do that. Um, so I've always grown up with this mindset. My parents really pushed me and encouraged me to chase after that. But there's really no limits except for what you're willing to do or not do. And so as long as you have those discipline actions in place and you develop those, which has been an ongoing process, really for years, there's nothing that can stop you.
So it sounds like having not only the right mentor or coach in your corner, but having the support system that are filled with people who might be opposite of you and bring different strengths to the table might be like the key to success here almost, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think it plays a piece into it. I I never saw myself in the entrepreneurial space. I saw myself as climbing the corporate ladder, like, again, using that achievement driven to get up that ladder to where I wanted to go. Um, and it was really my husband that was like, you should really think about doing this differently, and kind of pushed me into that space. But you can have the best support system in the world, but if you don't have your processes in place as a person, and you don't have the mental fortitude, to be disciplined and be willing to hold accountability within yourself, it doesn't matter how good your support system is, you won't make it. And so there's a fine line of support system and personal accountability.
I love that. I've not really explored that too much before, but I think you're absolutely right. And I see this quote all the time. James Clear says this in the book Atomic Habits, which is an okay book in my opinion. I don't think it was like life changing, but there were some really cool things that he said in there. And one of the quotes that I say often is every action that you take is a vote for the type of person that you want to become. And I
Mhm.
feel like that rings true is, yeah, you can have all the right tools, processes, you can have all the right support system, but at the end of the day, it's the decisions and the mindset that you've got that can be the game changer.
Yeah, and I think it's sitting with yourself and being comfortable with yourself ultimately. And that was a hard shift for me because I grew up, very very much involved with my teammates. I always had that group of friends. College athletics, you live, eat, breathe, with these people, and then you graduate, and essentially that support system is cut off. Like, I moved to rural America to start my research company. My teammates went off and did the amazing things that they were destined to do. And at first I was like, do I even know myself? Like, yeah, I knew pieces of me, but I've never had to really sit in that silence, and sit within myself. And that's really when I dug deep into like the physical side of things. So running half marathons, running Tough Mudders, digging into like bodybuilding and really flexing that discipline muscle, because I was really at a point in my life that all I really had to do was take care of myself and my job and like focus on my goals. So, I pushed myself physically for many years, and then I started flexing a different muscle. I got into therapy, really finding the quirks that I had as an individual. I am someone that wants to be the best type of leader. I want to be the best type of human that I can be. And so really doing that introspective look and being like, where do I need to improve? That was also critical to me too.
I loved what you said about you were in school and you were surrounded by teams. And when you're in athletics, like you're right, like everything you do is with these people. That's your team, that's your crew. You've got the support system. These are the people you're almost surrounded with every single day. And then it ends. And then you've also got this other side where you've like, I don't have anybody because I'm out here on my own. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what my brain is doing, but I'm like trying to wrap my head around like these two very solid points. What are your thoughts on
I
that?
mean,
How do you combat that?
well, it's more like developing new resources. As an athlete, I had the training team to help me if for, ailments. I had a nutritionist, I had a weightlifting coach. I had like all these resources. And, you know, it's not that I didn't keep up with my old teammates, but like we're all really driven people. Like that's what drives you together to do college. There's 1% of the world that is going to play college athletics. And they own you, like your schedule is set, school is priority, like it's a job. And so, it's just they were off being awesome in their own right. And I had dreams and, really things that I wanted to focus on, but it was building a new set of resources within your new community. That was probably the hardest part for me personally.
Going through those different seasons of life and understanding like, hey, I do need a support system. I'm in a new season of life. Instead of it being athletes that I'm surrounding by, it may be I'm around other entrepreneurs. who are
Mm-hmm.
also starting up their own business, or you're around other moms, or whatever the season of life that you're in. Like, that's why those support groups are so important. And I remember early on in my career, like before I was married, before I had kids, everything, like I got involved with a church. And so like as a young Christian, like I needed to be around more experienced Christians as I learned my faith. Or when I started my own business, like I kind of stopped hanging out with other moms and started hanging out with other entrepreneurs. And like that's where I spent my time. That's the community that I needed in that season of my life. And it is on you to find that. So if you are going through something, it is important for you to find your tribe, your group of people. And I think that's why, building something like the AgriMinds Summit it's so personal to me. It's like I needed other people within ag who wanted to talk about the hard stuff. Like I needed to find a space where I don't need to learn about new technology. I don't want to learn about the new equipment. I don't need to know about markets and tariffs and all the stuff. I want to talk to other humans who are dealing with other human things, like emotions and mindsets and my nervous system and burnout and stress. And I want to show up as the best possible leader that I can. And if I'm not surrounding myself by people who have those same things, I don't feel like I'm getting the support. I'm not getting introduced to the resources or the, feeling equipped in those ways. And so I love that comment.
Yeah, there's two ways what that came to mind when you mentioned that, and I would, which is kind of contradicting to like what you're so passionate about, but sometimes you don't have to know those people for them to be in like a resource to you. I am big on podcasts, and like Andy Frisella's MF CEO project. And I know he's an acquired taste. He's pretty extreme. I'm an extreme person. I like that. I liked that podcast that was up, the MS CEO. But, one of the things that he said is when you first get started, particularly in entrepreneurship, it's more competitive. There's a lot of people in the room. And as you get to that 5 and that 10 and that 15 years, you become less competitive and more collaborative on, even within competing businesses. And so, I've got quotes on my phone that I look at every day, and it's like I will sit with my favorite episode that Andy Frisella has is when he's interviewing Ed Milet, and I listen to that at least once a year. But I have on my phone like I will sit in the 20-year room with Ed and Andy. Like, is that going to happen? No, probably not. Like Andy and Ed Milet are not in my sphere of people, but I want them to be. Like I want to take that mindset and bring that into something that I can continue to develop and grow here and create my own circle. You are accumulation of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. People debate that all day long. I truly believe that. So if you're the best of your group or the most driven, just know that you're going to end up averaging out. That thermometer is set within the average. And I always operate under, if I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room. I need to be someplace else. I need to be pushed. I need to continue to develop myself. And so I don't know. I'm an extreme person. I really like to push and push hard. And so I know that's an acquired taste.
I think it's important to call out though, because it it's different than what I think a lot of people are used to, right? Like what you're saying may make somebody really uncomfortable, but that may be the
Yeah.
exact thing that they're like, I gotta go now. Like she's after. I remember this the other day. I think I posted about this on social media, but I've been an entrepreneur for a little over 3 years now. And you're looking at all the coworkers. There is nobody else here. It's me in my basement at my house. And so sometimes like my only adult interaction is either with my husband or with my clients via Zoom. And sometimes I feel almost complacent or stagnant. And the other day, we went to the YMCA and my son has like a swim and gym class. And so I brought my laptop and I'm sitting there working during his 2-hour class. And one of the other parents, it was a husband and wife, they came in, they sat down next to me, and I know who they are, but they were just like, they dove right into work because they also have their own business. And he was making sales calls, and she was like, they were a team, even though they were husband and wife. He was making sales calls, and she was doing customer service and doing like the book work, like, oh, let me get that put in the computer while you're making the call. And it was just like boom, 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 boom. And they were like crushing it in that 2 hour window at the Y. And I felt a fire light up underneath me. And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I'm going to start making, some more sales calls. Cause like, you just kind of like get into these routines and you almost get stagnant, right? In my mind recently, like I've been crushing it, but I could always crush it harder. And
Yeah.
when those two sat down next to me, it wasn't, here, it could have been it deflating me. It could have
Hmm.
been, I feel like a piece of crap because I'm not as good as them. I'm not as motivated as them. I'm not as persistent or resilient as them or driven, but instead it fueled me. And I think had my mindset not been right, it could have taken the turn to the left there, but instead it turned the right way, and I was motivated and inspired by it. And I think you're so right. Like it makes such an important influence on who you're around. And I love that statistic of like the top 5 people you're spending the most amount of time with are who you're either like or you're likely to become, but you're also one of the 5 in somebody else's circle. And so how are you showing up? Are you inspiring other
Hmm.
people? Are you going hard as you absolutely can and maybe having a ripple effect to help somebody else get better versus you becoming average? Oh, that's so good.
Ed Milet talks about a temperature setter all the time. Like, are you the person that's bringing down the thermometer, or are you someone that's raising the heat in the room and making everybody around you better? Because ultimately, the averages win.
Yeah.
What's that quote? You don't rise to your level of expectations, you fall to your level of standards. And so, where are your
Ooh.
standards, and what are you allowing for yourself? And that's, yeah, it's your standards and it's your process that's going to get you through the hard times, and it's going to allow you to have those successful times. I mean, I can tell you, like, the year my sister died unexpectedly, it was my processes that got me through. It was the culmination of years of discipline, of doing things when I didn't feel like doing it, getting up at the same time, eating what I was supposed to be eating that was going to nourish me and give me energy and, fuel my brain. It was working out. Did I want to? No, I wanted to crawl in bed and not do anything. But you fall to your level of standards, and my standards were like, nope, I've got a goal. I've got things to do. I'm not saying don't grieve, and I'm not saying like any of like don't feel things, but I'm saying you need to lay a foundation of what you find your level of standards are and don't deviate from that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's practice, it's habits, that's proactive, right? That's
Hmm.
the proactiveness that I wish we were taught more of, right? Like I didn't play many sports. I definitely didn't play college sports. I mean, I played softball and I did a little bit of shot and discus in high school, but I was never what we would call an athlete by any means. But I did never had that instilled in me. I mean, I grew up on the farm and I worked more than I played, right? And
But that
I don't remember having that.
Yeah, the farm does instill that. I mean, we had cattle growing up. They eat first. Before I was eating breakfast, we had to go make sure everybody was fed. Like, you're getting those same uh traits ingrained in you. It's just done differently. But no, it's the same thing.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I wish that I understood it and I knew the how powerful it could be. Because I grew up and know this is what I know, but I never have stopped to think about like what's that doing for me? Is this helping me or hurting me? Because you're getting patterns, you're getting habits no matter what, but are they helping or hurting you? And most of us don't stop to reflect whether what we're doing is helpful or not. And you have you've done the right type of habit building and mindset work. So that way, when something did happen, you could almost go in autopilot because you were so routined in those ways. You set yourself up for success in that way.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, even think on the positive side. Let's say you have like a stellar year and you are breaking records and all the things, like you're not out there popping champagne bottles because you know that your standard is I need to get my workout in. I need to fuel correctly. I need to show up for my team and myself. Like it's a good check and balance to make sure that you're doing what you need to be doing. And so, yes, you can have those celebratory moments, but don't live there because then the rest of the world's going to pass you by. And so, you are always falling to that level of standards. There are several books. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. Love David Goggins. Again, he's very extreme. I'm extreme.
So good.
Let's see. Relentless by Tim Grover. I reread that one every year. And Winning by Tim Grover. Phenomenal books. When you find people that are considered different because they are so intense or because they are so driven, it just makes you realize that, hey, I'm not the anomaly. There are people out there that want what I want, that want to be pushed like I want to be pushed. I just got to go find them. So, yeah, I love it. I love books. I love podcasts.
I've been told that I've been intense with the topics that I speak on, right? Like, and I was so ashamed of that when I worked for corporate. I was so ashamed because like my feelings are intense and extreme, and I am a passionate son of a gun when it comes to these things. Like, I just can't help it. I mean, it's just the way that I am. And I used to try to shove it down, and I used to try to care about other things. And I used to try to pretend that it didn't affect me as much, or that I didn't feel so passionately about something. And then when I went out on my own and I was like, kind of just like took it off and I was like, I don't care. This is how I'm showing up. This is what I want to be known for. It's been praised. And they're like, had you not spoken about that, I would have never been able to get through this. Or had you not said it's okay to talk about that and that, then I would have never known it was okay to bring this up to my boss or to my spouse. Like, it's important to own how you are and embrace exactly who you are and how you show up, and don't ever apologize for that. I think it's awesome. And you mentioned David Goggins. I listened to that book via audiobook. I didn't read it with a physical book. I listened to it. And what was so cool is he almost treats it like a podcast. And so like they'll be narrating, and then like in between chapters, he'll be like, okay, hang on. Let me tell you exactly what happened and provide context. And he'll like talk about it. And it is so good. So if you get the chance to listen to Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, holy crap, that man, it has saved part of me. I was going through a very, very dark time, and that the analogy where he talks about putting your fuel tank on reserve, like you may be feeling like you're running on fumes, go even further, get in reserve and just keep going. And all the time I'm like, okay, if I'm working out, if I am trying to push through a deadline, if I'm working with my kids and like they're pushing me past my sanity limits, I'm like, put it in the reserve tank. You've got a little bit left in you. You can get through this. It has saved me. So I will forever praise that book.
Oh, yeah. I mean, your mind is very malleable, good and bad. And so what you feed it is ultimately how you're nourishing it. And so I'm very conscious of what I intake, what I watch, what I listen to, who I'm around, because it all plays a very big part in your mental health and your mindset and what you're trying to build. The farther I get into my journey, like the easier it is for me to let go of things that don't serve me, or let go of people that aren't, and they might be great people and that's fine and we can still be friends, but I'm not going to invest a ton of stock into their opinion or something like that, because I'm like, it's okay, because we're not heading in the same direction, and that's okay. So
Yeah. I also heard a quote that said something like, you can't expect other people to understand God's calling for you. Like, this is a direct line of communication, and you can't expect anybody else to have insight or understand what you're called to do in this life. And even most of the time, you probably don't even understand, let alone expect somebody else to understand what that is. So, yeah, that's so, so good. Thank you for sharing that. You mentioned podcast, you mentioned some audiobooks and things like that. What else are you doing to pour into yourself? I know you said you're a big personal development person. What are some other ways that you're taking care of you?
Who, I mean, for me, working out is a staple. I mean, it's good to help regulate myself emotionally, mentally. I love that physical push of doing something hard. And at different seasons, it's different things. You know, I used to try to be the strongest person in the weight room, and now I'm trying to see how far I can run at any given time. You know, I would love to do like an ultra or something crazy like that. Um, it's it's a lot of just surrounding myself with less people, because I just, one, there's less people out here, and again, two, like I'm just very focused right now on what I want to do, so my circles are pretty small, but really just feeding myself in terms of nutrition and physical care, things like that.
Is there anything you're working on in your professional development?
Oh, I think my mentors in the space have been amazing at the professional side. You know, I'm always looking at courses or what could make me a better leader. I'm trying to think ahead, like, what is Melissa a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? What is she going to want in her toolkit that, she's thankful that the previous version of Melissa was doing? And so, and it's hard. I think that's one thing that's really interesting. And I think having employees now and continuing to expand and helping them see their personal development journey and things like that. Um, you also have to remember to give yourself grace, because I've never done any of these things before. And so, really doing a lot of self-reflection on, hey, that worked. Hey, this person likes to be communicated like this. Hey, I need to adjust my teaching style for this type of intern. You know, just being very self-aware is very important.
Yeah. I think that that's a great thing to highlight is you've not done this before. So you're learning right alongside your team, maybe, right? Like the people that you're managing right now, your team members, your family members, they've not done this. And, I'll use my parents for an example, right? Like, my dad is taking care of his mother right now, and he's also got grandkids. And so it's like, if he doesn't show up in the way that I think he ought to, right? I have to remember, like, he's never done this before. He's never had to take care of his mother and his children and his grandkids. Like, he's never been pulled in these directions. He's never had to make decisions on these things. And I have to remind myself that too. And my husband and I talk about this too. It's like, we've never had this dynamic where we have one who's a business owner and one who's working swing shift. Like, we've not done this before. And so we have to give each other grace when we show up and we're exhausted and maybe things aren't going the way that we hope they would be going in certain areas. And it's like, we've just not done this before. We're all learning right now. And we got to give ourselves a little bit of grace, because how do we know? Like, we can read the books, we can try to prepare, but until you're in it, you don't really understand it as much. You know what I mean? Gosh, that's so good. Well, I've loved your story. I've loved watching you. You've been an inspiration to me in so many ways, especially when you were going to some of these competitions and just like seeing you put the work in. I was like, dang, girl. So I will say you've been inspiring to me in that way. And just watching you be innovative, watching you pave the way in this industry, watching you persevere and just mentally just pushing yourself. Gosh, it's just so, so inspiring. And I just love it. You're such a rock star.
Thank you. It's been a challenge. I mean, particularly on the hemp side of things, you're always thinking outside the box. Like for example, most major carriers won't carry our final product, even though it's animal bedding, because we have the word hemp. Like so. Just take any normal practice that you do in business, and then don't think that you can go from point A to point B. You've got to go A to Z over to B and or C, and then you're at point B. You've got to go outside the box to get to the exact same destination. So that's really challenged me in a lot of different ways. It's been very frustrating at times because I know what we're doing here, and I know the validity of the industry and what it can be. I'm just waiting for other people to catch up and other legislation to catch up. So we just continue to educate. We are a certified agritourism business. I'm huge on advocacy and education for agriculture. We do over 100 tours a year, everything from homeschooling groups to, people running for governor or, running for Senate and things like that. And so it's very cool to interact with the amount of people that we do that just want to find that connection between producer and consumer and try to bridge that gap on the agricultural side of things. So the National Alliance of Independent Crop Consultants, that would be for my research side of things. They lobby and work with lobbyists very hard to, again, help bridge that gap, provide education. Pesticides are tools within a toolkit. The amount of misinformation about the amount of product that goes out. I think, and I see this, I get to ride the fence a little bit because hemp is non-GMO. Like you've got a very different group advocating for hemp moving forward. Then you've got traditional farmers, and now we're melding those groups, and it's kind of interesting to see, and we've seen it at a lot of like our open houses and events. You've got the guy with the man bun and you've got the farmer in the overalls, and they really have the same goals of soil health, sustainability, moving their farm to the next generation. And it was very rewarding for me to see those people sit at the same table and realize that maybe they don't have that many differences and there's a lot more commonalities than what they had originally thought.
And that was something I noticed too, is like you've got what we would call like hippies, right? Like growing up,
Yeah.
like, oh, you got those crazy hippies. And then you've got like your standard blue collar farmers. And then you've also got the men and the
Mhm.
women in suits, right? Like these are people who, are going back and forth to DC advocating and rallying for us. And like you're bringing all of them together into one room. And that's really cool too. And my mindset had to shift when I first kind of got into the hemp world too, of like, I thought it was all drugs, if I'm completely honest with you. Like, I was like, I don't know if I should go on site to this farm. Like, what do you mean you're growing hemp?
Mhm.
I just thought it was all drugs. And then I realized like hemp can be grown for oil and it can also be fiber. Like y'all are doing like they make ropes and they make car interior parts, and there's some really cool stuff that they're making, and it's like there's so much out there. So it's like my mindset had to shift just try to sell software to y'all. So yeah, it was really cool. And to see them all coming into one room and agreeing mostly on like, here's the big goal, where we may be coming at it from different angles for different reasons,
Mhm.
but here's our main goal. And that's something that I think is really cool to watch in this industry too.
Oh yeah. It's definitely been a big evolution for me personally as well. I mean, when my husband brought this up to diversify the farm into this, I was like, no. And I he goes, please just read about it. And I saw it as a way for us to be a niche within a niche industry on the research side of things. And then, the farming operation, like something had to give. There had to be some change. And so um that was the path that we chose to move forward with.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I feel like we could have gone down so many different avenues with what you've got going on, but I just appreciate your time. I appreciate you shedding a light on the mindset piece and the personal accountability, the self-leadership part, like that's something that I think we overlook. Like we're so focused on being the leader of the team or the family or the operation that it's like, oh yeah, I got to lead myself here sometimes too. And that's going to look really different during different seasons of life. So I just appreciate you coming and talking about that. If people want to follow along with what you're doing, if they want to learn more about the hemp world or come visit you or support you in some way, what's the best way for them to follow up with that?
Yeah, so personally, you can find me on Instagram, mlnelson13. Um, Facebook, it's South Bend Industrial Hemp. Instagram, also South Bend Hemp. LinkedIn under Melissa Nelson. And then our websites are southbendindustrialhemp.com or performancecropresearch.org.
So good. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And I'm pumped to watch you keep going. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast episode, I don't think I would be here if it wasn't for you. And just even if it didn't feel like much on your end, just when you see potential in somebody, if you're getting that nudge to, throw their hat in in the ring for something, that opportunity may be life changing for somebody. And so again, I just wanted to say thank you for that and for taking time to come and be on my podcast.
Oh yeah, I was listening to a podcast the other day, or a speaker the other day, and they were talking about how to send the elevator back down. Like, so you've made it, you've climbed the ladder, and if you see potential in people that maybe are just starting out or are on a different level than you, send the elevator back down and bring them up, and help bring them up, and then they turn around and they do the same. So you're constantly just raising the game and bringing good people up with you.
Yeah, I think that's really what leadership is all about. It's not always climbing to the top of that ladder. It's who can you carry up there with you without pressing your heel in somebody else's forehead, but pulling them up alongside you. I think that is true leadership right there. Thanks for sharing that.
I'm telling you, I love seeing the potential in people, and I'm gonna get it out of you kicking or screaming. Like I love seeing people just really make it to their full potential. And all my employees know, like, if there's something you're passionate about, let's do it. You want to expand this business to go into something that you're passionate about, like let's say it's in insects or plant breeding or something. Let's go get the work. Like, I'm here to support you because a better you is a better us. So anyway, yes, thank you for having me on this podcast. I really enjoyed it, and we'll be in touch soon.
Yes. Well, there you have it, folks. If you see potential in somebody, give them that nudge. Even if they resist, if you see it in them, do whatever you can to help them because I guarantee you they'll look back and be so, so grateful that you did.